Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? As you can see, we got Jimmy Smith from Fishing and Gear, and we want to welcome you.
How's everybody
Want
doing?
to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself?
My name's Jim. I fish Santee Cooper, Lake Moultrie a lot. We got an upper lake and a lower lake, and I'm usually on Lake Moultrie, mainly because I live close to it. And I've just got real familiar with the lake because I fish it so much. I target catfish, blue cats. Not really channel cats, but mainly drift fish more than anything is normally what I do. A lot of times if I get to the lake, if I can't drift, I'll just go home. I don't really anchor a whole lot. Once you kind of get the drift fishing, bite, you kind of get hooked on it.
Yeah, when that boat's hanging still, that gets tough when you're used to the boat moving. I'm in the
Yeah,
same
well,
boat as you.
it feels like you're not moving a lot because Lake Moultrie is completely open. A lot of times I'm, on big water and there's no structure. For hours it looks like you're sitting in the same spot anyway because you're moving so slow. Because there's not a lot of structure out there really. You really got to fish by the bottom of the lake, not surface structure because there's not much out there to go by with that.
Let's give a few shout outs. Mike Irvin was in the house. Mike Simpson, Betty was in the house. Creole Catfishing.
Trio.
Heartbreak, brother. Heartbreak, brother.
Man, I seen that. That was tough.
Got Kevin Palmetto Cats is in the house.
Yeah,
Thomas Littlepage. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Well, it kind of went over the bodies of water you fish. Do you ever have any current in your bodies of water?
uh, just wind maybe.
Um,
Most of the time. Yeah. Uh, Lake Moultrie is completely open, so you get a lot of wind out there, and it can turn, dangerous pretty quick. If we get wind from the north, the lake gets rough. If it's coming from the south, it's not that bad for some reason. In the winter, you get a lot of wind from the north, and if you've got 8 mile per hour winds, it can be pretty rough. If you got 20 mile per hour winds, you can sink a boat. um, and then all summer when it's hot and you're begging for a breeze, it's coming from the south, and you usually don't get a breeze. Yeah.
well,
So yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but that lake, before I even leave the house, I check to see what the wind is and where it's coming from. And depending on where it's coming from, I kind of know where I can go and still drift with it. Sometimes there's places you can get out of the wind, maybe get behind. You do have some tree lines. Sometimes you can get out of the wind, but sometimes if they say it's coming from the north and it's over 15 miles per hour, I'll stay home because it ain't gonna happen.
Right. Just not worth it, huh?
Yeah.
The question will pop up in chat in a little bit, but we'll go ahead and ask now. Everybody likes to know what personal bests are.
75-pound blue, and I caught a flathead. I guess it was about 40 or so. I didn't weigh it, but yeah, I've caught a lot of 50s. It's like there's a bunch of 50s in that lake for some reason. But personal best is 75.
That's a good fish. That's a real good fish.
October of 2020.
That's a really good fish.
Yeah, I wouldn't expected it. It was in the fall, and the fish on that lake in the fall, they go really shallow. I don't. It's like in the spring and in the fall. My wife's grandfather, he's fished out here forever. He's 85 years old, and he told me in the fall, the male catfish, it triggers them when that water temperature gets like 70 again, that they just time to spawn again. That's what he told me. He said it'll trigger them. They'll go shallow again. He said fish shallow, and we fish shallow, and it was like the fish were just grouped up. And I mean, I called a 75. My brother caught like a 78 the next day. My wife got a 60. My son got a 71, all within like 2 weeks. It was just ridiculous.
Hey, that's a good week.
Yeah, and it was more taking advice from him than skill. Sometimes these older guys, you need to listen to what they're saying.
I got a quick little story. We'll go up to the Newburgh Dam when we're catching our skipjack, and the old guys sitting out there on buckets and coolers. When they start talking, everybody else just shuts up. You listen to what he's up there catching the skipjack when they're running. He's up there catching Whatever fish is running up at the dam, he's catching. So everybody just shuts and listens and let him. We had a few more people come in. Jason Lamb, Lee Evans. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Yep. We kind of talked about it earlier, but do you ever anchor fish?
Not a lot. When we started out, we were anchor fishing, and then I tried drifting one day. Drifted and caught like a 30 right off the bat, and then I was hooked on it. I just kept doing it. It just seems like with that lake, I've always had a little more success drifting because it's such a huge lake. The lake used to be a swamp before they flooded it, so it's got one really big main channel. The main channel is like a mile wide in some places. It's huge, and then it's just sub channels that come off of it. So a lot of times I'll drift the edges of those sub channels, and some of these sub channels are like, they're like ditches. They're only maybe 10, 15, maybe 15 foot wide, and then on the sides of it, it'd be 5 foot deep, and then the sub channel it'd be 25 foot deep. So they just sit in there.
Nice. I noticed watching your videos, and when you're showing the depth finder, you show all those drops and all that, and you show you're pulling the boards or you're drifting right over top of them.
Yep. And that was the biggest thing that helped me was navionics. I like talking about the old timers. They can look at the fish finders with all the lines and the contour lines, and I looked at that thing and I didn't know what I was looking at. And I got the Navionics hot maps, and it had that 3D shading, and it'll work on. I've got a Lowrance unit. It'll work on an Elite. The Hook 2, I don't think you'll get that 3D shading, but put the card in there, and it was like going from black and white to color. It's just, I was like, wow. I mean, you could just see the steps of the side of the lake, and you could just really get right on the edge of that channel and just drag it. It just seemed like I could fine tune it better with it. I put one on the back of the boat because I was like, the bass guys, they got one on the front. I see all these bass boats, they got one. I'm like, I'm putting one on the back. So I put an Elite 12-inch on the back, and I think I got a 9 on the front. And I like it. I just sit back in the seat and just got the remote for the trolling motor and just relax. And when I'm drifting, I'm always making like micro adjustments. I'm not just kind of, okay, the wind's taking me this way. This is the way I'm going. I'm constantly, I wore a remote out in a year. I'm constantly done. I'm constantly trying to stay where I think. But there's been some days to where I thought it didn't work. So I just said, I'm going to let the wind take me. And then it put me on a fish. So sometimes it's random. Sometimes it's skill.
Right. Definitely. We had a question here in chat. They want to know if there are any rivers that are there rivers feeding the lakes that you fish?
The lakes kind of feed the rivers, the way our lake works. Not really. I don't think, and if Kevin's still in chat, he probably could answer that better than me. But the way our lake system is, you got an upper lake is Lake Marion, and then we've got a connector canal that connects the two. And then that feeds the Cooper River. And I think the upper lake feeds, they call it the Old Santee River. So unless it's the upper part of the upper lake, there could be some rivers that flow into it. But I think that the lake feeds the rivers here. Because it's just basically a reservoir. They're just holding out water for, the power plant pretty much.
Right. Back on the anchoring or whatever, do you ever just spot lock and suspend baits over a tree, or just have some hanging in a shallow and some hanging off the side of a ledge?
Nope. Nope. It's just drift fishing. Yep. And somebody asked me the other day, I put a video out Wednesday, and I think it was Trey caught like about a 50 pounder. We didn't even weigh it. I don't even hardly weigh fish anymore unless I think it's 70 or 80. I can kind of eyeball them. He's probably about 50 pounds. And the guy said, he commented and he said, Kevin from Palmetto Cats, when he goes fishing, he burns them up and all you catch is a few. And I was like, that's true. A lot of fishing trips, I'll catch 1 or 2 fish, but a lot of times they're big fish. I think it's just where I'm fishing, There's just bigger fish hanging out, but there's few of them. And what I've found a lot of times is these big fish, little fish usually ain't hanging around them. I don't know if they're scared to get eat or something. But if I go somewhere and I catch a bunch of small ones, I won't go there anymore. I'll switch deeper or shallower if I start getting into smaller fish. I'd rather catch 150, you know.
Mm-hmm. Let's go over your gear from your boat all the way down to terminal tackle.
Okay, the boat is a 2019 16-foot tracker. It's a Super V. I think it's called Super V Guide. It's got a Mercury 40. It'll push it about maybe 27 with me. You throw another person and drop it down to about 25 miles per hour. And it's a small boat, I think, for Santee, but it works. You just got to be a little crazy. But as long as you, because some days that there gets rough, as long as you always, hit the waves head on and drift with the waves, just be smart about it. If it's ridiculous out there, just don't try it. But I've had waves come over the back of the boat. I've started on the bilge pump. You just got to be careful. As far as the tackle, I use B&M, and I kind of started with just some Walmart rod and reels, and we caught 40s on it, and we burned the reels up. And I messaged Dieter Melhorn. I noticed he used B&Ms, and I asked him about it, and he said, just order them, you'll love them. And started using the B&Ms, and like I said, we put a lot of big fish in the boat with the B&Ms, and I like them because they're stiff. Because I see a lot of dudes on Facebook, they're doing this rod challenge. I don't know if you've seen any of these guys doing it. They're taking like the tip of the rod and putting a rope on it. They're pulling it, wrapping it all the way around the boat. Yeah, really soft. I guess they're softer rods. I don't think the B&M would do that. I think it would give way. But on a fish, it's not going to give way. A fish ain't going to break it. But when, like I said, I catch 50s and 60s, when you got him right beside the boat and he's still got 10 more feet he can go down, that rod's still got a lot of backbone. You can control him. That rod ain't just flopping over. So I like a stiffer rod for that reason. Now you catch a 25, 30 with that rod, it ain't hardly going to even move. And that's a medium heavy. He's just coming in, And the reels, I've been using Pin Warfare, but I did recently get some Abu 7000s, the Catfish Specials. I did get 4 of those because B&M sent me some rods. Their guy kind of scouted me out, I guess. And he said he liked what I was doing with the channel. And I mean, I'm really surprised the amount of sponsors I picked up because, I mean, I'm going to get like 1,400 subscribers. But Monkster made me an affiliate, B&M, Catfish, clothing, and Bill's Marina. He said, hey, I can't give you much, but here's a free parking pass. You don't got to pay for launches anymore. And here's a hat. I said, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
$75. And I just think it's cool. I don't even really care if I make any money on YouTube at all. I don't even care. It's just cool when you go out there and you see people and they say, hey man, I seen you out there and you're doing pretty good. That's what I love about it.
Yes,
I just think it's cool. Like I say, a buddy of mine, he come down, his name was Josh Campbell. He started, when the channel was young, he came down. I mean, he watched some of the early videos and he said, hey, I'm coming to Blacks to fish. He drove from Indiana, 12 hours. He didn't ask me to take him, but I was like, I'm taking you, I'm taking you out there. So I got him a 30. He'd never caught a blue, and he was happy to get that 30. And we worked for it. We fished like 10 hours, but we got him in the boat. Yep. So I like, as far as the tackle, the hooks, I use the Catfish brand hooks. I've seen Hagen use them, and I think it's the same thing as the Tackling Cat hooks. I think they get them. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a 9/0. I don't even think I got one, but it's a 9/0 hook. The line, I was using slime line, but I got Andy line now. I got it, and I fished with it, and it's super smooth. I like it. It reels in. It's quiet. And I do use 60. And some guys like, why do you use so heavy? Because Kevin's like, what is that for main line? Because I put a picture on Facebook. Kevin's like, that's for main line, right? And I'm like, no, that's I just run 60 straight through. And the reason I do that is I know the potential of Santee Cooper. 110 pounder was caught at air like last weekend. You know, as a tournament, just a few weeks, about a month ago, was a tournament at air. Guy caught like 103 pounder. And when it happens and you get hung up in some brush, because it's out there, these guys dump crappie beds out there like crazy. You can see pontoons, they got the deck, nothing but a clear deck, and they'll have them stacked up 10 foot with brush, and they just dump it. And when I hook that fish and that brush is out there, I don't want no excuses why he got off. Because I pulled up whole crappie beds out there before, whole Christmas trees up pulled right at the bottom of the lake. Yep.
Yeah, it's nice.
Drift weights. I make my own drift weights, and I'm not trying to plug my drift weights, but I do make them. I tried a couple other ones, and nothing wrong with the other brands I used. I just wanted to see if I could make them, and I think they work pretty good. I use like really, really small bird shot. I wanted something that was really flexible for going over brush and stuff like that. And I mean, they're super flexible. And I'd say I probably lose a drift sinker maybe once a month. I might lose one. So they work pretty decent.
Those look really cool. I need to get some from you and try them out. But I'm not much of a dragger, but I need to start. I need to start.
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it.
So how long have you been fishing?
Catfishing, 2 years. That's all.
Very nice.
Years.
You made a lot of progress. A couple years.
Yeah. We've lived by Santee. I live like I'm like 5 miles down the road from the lake, and I've lived here 25 years. And I mean, we would brim fish occasionally, and I bought the boat, you know, not to catch catfish. I just wanted a, you know, a little bit nicer boat, and we went out and we caught some catfish, and then we caught some more catfish, and we caught a couple of 40s, and I filmed it with my phone, and I put it on YouTube just to see what would happen. It got, you know, a little bit of response, and then it's kind of like I've been on a mission ever since.
Cool.
I think at first I was just really wanted to hit the 1,000 subscribers, and I hit it in about a year. And when I hit it, I was like way over the watch time, you know, to get monetized. But I mean, I ain't making much on it.
Right.
But it's just fun, you know. I don't know if people really get into like my little intros that I put on the videos, but I love editing. Some of these intros take me like an hour, 2 hours to make these 30-second intros, and then the rest of the video it might take me an hour to edit it. But just want to do something different, you know. Just maybe if some of these guys like it, they're like, "Hey man, that intro was cool." You know, I don't know if it's for everybody, but I like them. So
I still never figured out the other 2 words in that one intro.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, you know, nobody even seen, because I told you it was hidden message. Nobody else even noticed that.
Right.
Nobody did. Yeah, I kind of hid some words in there. Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you what it is. So
we gotta go look, huh?
yeah. Because I might even do something like that and maybe hide something for a prize or something later on. I don't know.
Right. Nice.
Yep.
So that you said you just that kind of what got you into YouTube. Also, you just started filming it, put it up there, and
yeah. I mean, if you look back at our videos, you'll watch us evolve, because we started catfishing the same time we started YouTube, and it just started. You know, Trey wanted to kind of do it, and we recorded it. I bought a couple of GoPros. You know, we started, and I was catfishing like once a week, and you know, we were catching, you know, 15 pounders, 20 pounders. And I'm going to say probably around last, maybe August or October, I had about 300 subscribers. And, you know, it took me about, you know, 6 months or so to get that. And I just set this mission, and I even quit doing some other things. And I'm like, I'm just going to fish. And I just started fishing almost every day. And I started figuring out where these fish were, you know, where they were at and where they were hanging out. And when the temperature would, you know, change, they would move a little bit. And like if it rained for about, 2 or 3 days, they weren't on the top of this channel anymore. They would get down on the bottom of it up against the wall, almost in like a little tucked in position. And I would catch them. And I think it took me from October to January to go from 300 to 1,000 subs, just fishing, fishing, fishing. I know a lot of guys like to see small fish, I catch small fish, but I don't put them in. If I just go out and catch like 10 small fish, I won't put it in a video, because I tried that at first. The big fish in the thumbnail is what grew the channel, and I feel like now I can kind of, do a little more, but you got to build the audience, first. And I mean, I hate to say it, but those big fish in the thumbnail, it draws them in. It really does.
Yep. I had a few more people come in. Seen Brandon from Catfish and Dreams, and Lyle came in from Catfish Weekly. How you doing, Lyle? We had a question here in chat. Creole wanted to know, how do you determine weight size for dragging with planterboards? Is there such thing as too much?
I think so. The heavier you go, the more likely you're gonna hang up. The lighter, the better. You could use 1.5 ounces where I fish, because there's no current, but it sinks so slow. I'll use a 2.5 ounce. I make the drift sinkers, and this is the biggest one I make is a 6 ounce. And the guys, I'll send these to Hagen. I actually sponsor Hagen. I send him all his drift sinkers, and he likes the heavy ones. I guess he's fishing in the Ohio River, but he likes the heavy ones. But 2.5, if there's no current, works really good. They're not super heavy, so they're not going to hang up as often. But the lighter you can get away with, the better.
I know I fish the Ohio River also, and when we drag, everybody says 4 or 5 ounces. So I kind of like that. You got a 6. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I made a six because I didn't see anybody else had it. And Hagen asked me. He said the heavier the better. So I made the 6 kind of for Hagen, and then just started, selling them.
If anybody is interested, I believe I put the sandydrifters.com link in the description, along with his Facebook page, Fishing and Gear, and his YouTube, Fishing and Gear.
And I got a 15% off coupon code. It's Get Some.
Hey, there you go, guys. Get some. How about that?
And I mean, I've tried to give back to the catfish community. I sponsor Hagen. I sponsor Ryan Boyts, and I mean Ryan's awesome. I sponsor Green Machine Outdoors. Dan, I can't pronounce his last name.
Right, and, I don't think any of us can.
And Kayak Mike, I sponsor him too. And I sponsor the whole Kayaks and Cats Tournament League. Every when they have their monthly tournaments, I think it's the 5th and the 6th gets a pack of drift sinkers. And I just feel like the catfish community has been good to me, and I wanted to give back to the catfish community as well too.
That's pretty awesome. That's really awesome.
The gift sinker thing is doing. I never thought it would be a source of income. I mean, it's not gonna pay the bills, but it's buying me some cool catfish gear. So
there you go.
So I just felt like I wanted to give back to the catfish community and sponsor those guys. And the kayak catfishing is just blowing. It's really blowing up. It's like Kayak Mike likes 1.5 ounce. That's all he'll fish with. Ryan, he wants heavy. So I don't know what different lake conditions they're fishing on. But I try to have something for everybody.
Heck yeah. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but dragging seems to be your favorite technique.
Yep. Yeah, I really like to drag. It seems like dragging is a little more labor intense, a little more work. I mean, it don't have to be. You can just kind of go with the wind and drift, but none of these channels out here go straight. They turn or they go to the side or something. So, I mean, when I'm out there, I'm working. I'm really trying to catch a fish. It's not like, well, I'm just going to go out on the lake and have some fun. I'm not really doing that. I've got a mission. I want to catch a fish. I want to catch a good fish. And if it takes 5 trips to get a good one for the video for the next week, I'm gonna fish 5 times. Every now and then I'll go. I usually drop the videos on Wednesday. If I catch a nice one on Thursday, I just earned a little time off.
There you go.
But if
There
not,
you
this would be
go.
a long week.
Well, with talking about dragging, kind of explain how you deploy your planet boards.
The planer boards, and I started using, I've tried a couple of different kinds, and I got some from Uncle Lou. It's called Uncle Lou's planer boards. It's Lee Reed, and he's a cool dude. I see him in the live streams all the time, supporting a lot of guys. I seen Kevin using them, so I tried them. They got a really deep blade, so they dig real deep and they'll go up real far. So what I'll do is I'll put the outside ones out first. I've got monster rod holders, and just 3 rod holders on each one, on each corner of the boat. So I'll put the outside ones out first. I'll cast them out a little ways, let it drop to the bottom, put the planer board on, and then when you cast them out like that, it'll help them already dig and go out. And then while those are kind of moving out, I'll put the centers, which I just let them go straight back. I don't really put a planer board on them. And once the outside ones are out good, I'll put the ones in the middle, I'll put them out and then kind of let them out. But when you let them out, you can't just let them go. You got to kind of let them out a little bit and stop them. That way they can pull out a little bit, let them out a little more, stop them again, and then let them, slowly get out. It'd take you a good, 10, 15 minutes to get them out. But you can get like a 50, 60 foot spread. It's like you just cutting a big chunk, almost like you're cutting grass. You're just cutting a big swipe, through the lake. And I usually try to go around 0.4, seems to work pretty good for me, miles per hour dragging. And in the winter, maybe 0.3, a little bit slower. Seems like there's a little bit slower bite in the winter time. That was the toughest time for me to fish, was the winter.
Yeah.
And then the hot summer.
Well, I know we was pulling some planer boards now when we went down to Alabama I guess it's been about a month ago now, and how long it takes to get them set up and ready to go. I guess
Yeah.
something happens down in Alabama, and they get a lot of surface grass that comes on the surface.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And man, as soon as we got set up, we started getting patches of these grass come in, and it just took our whole spread. We had to redo everything. That's
I didn't mention about these, but when I kind of made these drift sinkers, I had in mind, for the style of fishing I was, because there's hangups out there, and there's no perfect drift sinker. You're gonna lose a drift sinker. So these, it's kind of like it's a pressure release I kind of made into it. So it's about a 10-pound pressure release, and this swivel will let go. So when you're dragging, if this thing does get hung up, you can tighten the drag. And I mean, you got to want to make it pop. It ain't just going to come loose. If the drift sinker itself is hung up, tighten the drag and you just pull it, it's just going to leave the drift sinker behind. And then you can reel it up, put another drift sinker on and go. Because believe me, I know it's once you get all that stuff out, it's aggravating when you got to stop, Sometimes I'll just, if the hook gets hung up or the line gets hung up, ain't nothing you can do. It's hung. I mean, sometimes I'll just tighten the drag and kick the trolling motor in high gear and just let it go. Because it's easier just to re-rig sometimes than it is to stop and, to redo everything. Because like I said, it's a process getting everything set up, when you start drifting or dragging.
Question here in chat. If you do any night fishing, do you prefer day or night fishing in the summertime?
I'll night fish if I've got the energy to. But the most of the time I've caught every single one of my fish, and it's just the time I get on the lake, because I work nights and I usually get home at 8 in the morning. I'm an old bread man. I run a bread route. 9 to noon, that's the majority of every fish I've ever caught, except for the 78-pound that David caught on my boat. That was at about 9 o'clock at night. Santee Cooper, I don't know what it is. It seems like the bite is good in the morning. I've never caught a good fish in the afternoon. I don't know why. And then it'd be like 1 hour after dark. And I've stayed as late as, 11 or 12 and never get another bite. It's just like that 1 hour after dark, it'll kind of hit out there. I don't know why. And the moon, the moon it plays a lot into it. Whenever there's a, half moon or full moon, it seems like the bite window is just pushed back further. I won't even get a bite till like maybe 11-1, something like that. It just seemed like it pushes everything back a little bit.
Welcome to Stan's Fishing, Tom Dover Repair, Maurice Carson. Thank you guys for coming in. Well, I know everybody's probably waiting, so let's talk about you and that chicken. I don't think I've seen people catch the fish that you catch on that chicken. Why don't you talk about like we talked before the show started?
Well, the chicken thing. We were fishing with different kind of baits, and I've seen a couple of dudes use chicken on YouTube, and I'm like, let's give it a try. Me and my son Trey, we tried it. We put it out there. The very first time we tried chicken, we caught 2 40-pound catfish back to back, and that was our very first video. You can go to the channel and go all the way back to the very first video, and that was the biggest fish we ever seen. We were catching 5 and 10 pounders, and we caught those fish, and I'm like, hey, something's making it work. I don't know why it's working. And like I was saying before, some of the old timers, when they talk, you listen. Kevin Davis of Black's Fish Camp, he runs Black's Fish Camp now, but he was a guide for years. And he said, it's new to YouTube, but these guides out here have been doing it for 30 years. They've been using chicken and I've even heard Dieter say some old dude he knew, used it for years and years. I'm not going to say it works on every lake, because it might not. It probably don't. But I think it has to do with what the catfish's main food source. Santee Cooper has a lot of mussels, and they're protected. You can't go out there and dig these things up. It's some kind of law against it or something, but you're not supposed to disturb them because it's a big part of the ecosystem for that lake. And that's what Kevin said. The main food source are these mussels, and mussels are sensitive to like chemistry changes. So sometimes you'll have a chemistry change on the lake, and these things they'll die off. They'll just kind of pop out the shell and they'll float up, and these catfish just go nuts over them. So, and I've heard a lot of guys say that. I've never seen it, but I've heard some other guys say they've seen it. So I guess it's replicating that chicken. I've drug cut bait right beside chicken and catch fish on chicken. Like I was saying, Josh Campbell came down and he had these huge gizzard shad. These things were 2 pounds. He brought down, and I said, yeah, let's use them. Let's just try them. And we caught his 30. He had never caught a blue. We caught it off the chicken. And I'm never going to tell nobody chicken's better. I'm never going to tell nobody drift fishing is better. I might get in trouble for it, but it seemed like there's some guys out there, they're like, this is the right way and you're doing it wrong. Why? Why is it wrong? Right. If you caught a fish off of it, why is it wrong? I don't think it's wrong. I'm open-minded to try anything. I do what works for me, and if it don't work for you on your lake, use your bait that you want to use. And I put that in the videos. So that's the chicken thing.
That's right. Hey, hang on one second. We got another guest that's going to join us. My partner, Jake, is going to come in and ask a few questions also.
Cool.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Sorry for joining you late. I got a sick kiddo here at home. We actually just woke up for a nap, a.k.a. I fell asleep after a long day on the water.
Yeah. Hope he's feeling better.
So what I missed, you've been talking about some good stuff, Jim?
Yeah, drift fishing. That's the majority of what I do on Santee Cooper. And I think that's what you see a lot of guys, you see these pontoon boats out there, you're just going across. So it's a real popular style on that lake is drift fishing, because it's just such a big lake. It's like a 10-mile oval. It's a huge lake. You cover a lot of distance that way.
I don't know if Mike's asked you what size drift socks you use to pull your boat around on Santee.
I've got 2 small ones. I think they're like 54 inches around, and I'll throw those out if the wind is like 5 miles per hour or lower. But when it gets about 6 or 7, I got an Easterland drift sock. It's 10 foot across, and if it's not real windy, it'll stop your boat. You can turn your trolling motor on high, and you'll be going like 0.1. it's crazy how that thing works. It just really put the brakes on. They call it Easterland Sea Anchor. And it's funny because the guy who makes them, he lives right down the road from me, and he sends them all over the world. I hear Dieter, talking about them all the time, saying they're real good. But yeah, they work. They work real well. Like
How's
I was
the boy
telling,
doing, Jake?
what's that?
How's the kid?
He hasn't been throwing up. He's still a little whiny today, but he's gotten better, I believe. Trying to eat right now. He's actually sitting next to me at the table, munching on a Lunchable.
Well, I hope he keeps feeling better. Got any more questions you want to ask?
Not right offhand. I was just trying. I kind of popped in a little late. I was like, "Oh man, it's 7:30 already." But I wanted to see what you guys were doing and touch base.
Just hanging out, talking catfishing, and asking Jimmy a few questions. I'll go back to the planer boards. Whenever you're pulling your boards, how big of a spread do you like to have?
I'll usually have I try to get about 15 feet between each one, something like that. And I'll run 4. I'll have 6 rods at the back, and I'll run 4 planer boards. The 2 that straight out the back, I'll run one usually about 100 feet back, and maybe one about 50 feet. And they're usually kind of close because there's not a planer board. But I've had times to where the shorter one didn't get a fish, but the one further back did. It gives a fish 2 times to see the bait. I see Palmetto.
Yeah, it looks like we got to ask you about something here.
Oh. Oh, he's talking about.
Put him on the spot.
He's putting me on the spot. Yeah, I did a video last year, and my wife had no idea about it. My grandmother had passed away like about a year before this, and my mom gave me a ring that was my grandmother's, and I took my wife out, recorded it. We were fishing, and I put the ring on the end of one of the rods and casted it out. And I said, "Stacy, check that rod for me, reel it in." And she reeled it in. And she thought we hooked that ring. She's like, "There's a ring on here." And then she kind of like, "Wait a minute, this thing's hooked onto a swivel." So I think Kevin really liked that video.
That sounds like you did.
And I'll do stupid stuff like that in the videos. I'll put little skits or little in the intros. I just think it's fun.
We got Mark from Catfish and Crappie in the house, and Mr. Steve Douglas come in to see what we're talking about tonight.
Whoa, Steve Douglas.
We're just hanging out, talking to Jimmy, asking him questions about the lakes that he fishes down in South Carolina, about his dragging planer boards and just dragging baits in general.
I don't know if Steve remembered. He sent me an invite to be an affiliate with Monster Rod Holders, and that meant the world to me. For him to notice. I think it's really cool. So I appreciate that, Steve.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome there. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but you use your electronics to locate the fish in the river channels and the ledges, and you just drag right over top of them.
Yep. A lot of times if I'm not marking fish, I'll just put. And I mean, it don't always work. You can't completely rely on if it says there's fish, because look at this big mark on the fish finder, and I'll take a picture of it. You'll never catch nothing. Sometimes there's nothing on the fish finder and you'll hit a fish. But I'm mainly using it for speed and for that map. Like I was saying, I use Navionics hot maps, and it's very detailed. And something I forgot to mention earlier, when I started drift fishing first, I was having problems. I got a Lowrance unit, and on like really cloudy days, your little cursor where it shows you where your boat is, it'd start going crazy. It would spin around in circles, and I did like, what's going on? So I researched it, and the Lowrance units, they don't have a compass built into them. It's using like the satellite triangulation to figure out which way you're going. You could speed up, 2-3 miles per hour, boom, it goes straight perfect. But you slow down, 0.3, 0.4, it would lose it. So something that's on the back of my boat is called the 0.1. It's got a compass built into it, and it solved that problem. It's 1 foot accuracy. If it says it's there, it's there. I'll go across that lake wide open in the middle of the night, and I'm just looking at the fish finder. long as you don't hit a log or something.
Right. Now, do you run across any issues with that puck being in the back of the boat, that when you mark a waypoint, it's a little bit off?
Not really. Not really.
I've heard some other guys talking about that.
Only time I really use waypoints is if I go somewhere I hadn't been, I'll mark a waypoint where the boat ramp's at. That's about. And I got a couple waypoints, like if I caught fish at a certain, or was dragging a certain time of the year, I'll mark it like August, or March, that I caught some good fish in that area. A lot of times before I even leave the house, I'll look at, Navionics. I got the app on my phone as well. I'll just look at it and kind of study it and say, look here, here's something I didn't notice before. There's a little ditch or something, that runs through here. Let me go try it. And sometimes, it produces, sometimes it don't. But I think that's a good tool, for anybody to have in their arsenal. Is just, if you don't have, a fish finder to do it, just the app itself can really help you, because you can use the app on the water too.
Right. Speaking of apps, did you ever download that app for your trolling motor, just in case you needed it anytime soon?
No. No, because I already know what you're talking about. Because I made a video. I caught a fish. I got it in the trolling motors. Like I said, I wear them out because I'm constantly making micro adjustments. Every time I would mash, I think left, the motor would turn off. The buttons were messed up. So I was out there drifting, it messed up, and I caught a fish. I just kind of went with the wind, and everybody was like, hey, it's like a free app you can download to control that thing. I was like, you know what? I do know that. I think I already had the app on my phone. I just forgot about it.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
What's the hardest fighting fish you've ever caught?
I think it was that flathead I caught. I caught a flathead, believe it or not, on chicken.
Wow.
And it was dumb luck. I casted all the reels out, and we were dragging for about, 5 minutes. And one reel I forgot to engage, and it was just sitting there, free spooling. And so I'm like, I forgot to get this one. I hit it, and as soon as I hit it, it went over. And it was like a 40-pound flathead. So he caught himself. But he fought. Yeah, he fought really hard. Yeah.
They got them big old mouths. He
was so pretty too. Yeah, he's beautiful fish. Yeah, he was like that kind of goldish, kind of brown. Yeah, he was pretty. Yeah, I would love to catch another one. I need to start venturing out, and I'm a creature of habit. It worked this time because I kind of caught myself. I would fish a particular area and it produced fish. And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep fishing it over and over. And it stopped producing fish. And I kept fishing it. And I was like, what are you doing? You're kind of going back to what you were doing before. You got to get back to the basics again. Look at the map again. Ride around, mark some fish. And then I kind of got back on the fish again. So we kind of fall back into bad habits sometimes. It'll work 100 times. And then it just, for some reason, it don't work no more. Then you got to kind of figure it out again.
You kind of led me into the next little topic. Do you ever target flatheads?
No. Just mainly blues. I know they're out here, and one over outdoors, he catches a lot of them. He's real good at targeting them because I think he's doing, like you're saying, he's anchoring over brush piles and stuff like that. And I've seen some really nice ones. He fishes Lake Marion a lot, the upper part, kind of like in the swamps and stuff like that. So he's real good at it, but I haven't never really targeted it. The blues, I like catching them, and it's weird because everybody says the chicken is small fish bait. I hardly ever catch channel cats, not very often. They don't like the chicken for some reason. I don't know.
Do you ever use instead of getting the bait and cutting it up, do you ever just use the live bait?
Yep. I used live bait last spring, and it's getting real close to that now. I got a video. Me and David went out, and we caught some white perch, And we put them on. And funny thing about it is David caught like a 6-pound bass on the live perch that night.
Wow.
Yeah. And we caught I think a 30-pound that night too on the live perch. Yeah. And we had chicken right beside it, and they wouldn't touch it. They were all about that perch. So like I said, I'm not gonna say chicken's the best and that's all I ever fish with all the time, because it ain't, you know. It's it seemed like it works sometimes, and then sometimes it don't. Just like anything, any other bait.
So
Getting into
the go ahead, Jake.
Well, I heard him say he got stuck fishing the same area over and over. Kind of. Did you try a different technique when you were doing that? I know there's days we'll go to a dragon.
Yeah, I would try fishing the middle of the little sub channel, or maybe the edge of it, or maybe beside it. And I was like, hey, it's time to move. I think I fished that area like 3 times in a row with nothing, and then just kind of started scouting out a little bit and kind of got on them again. I mean, keep in mind, this was all within 1 week because I'm on the water usually at least 4 times a week. I'm out there, but it's usually short windows, because I work midnight to like 8, so it's usually like maybe 9 to 1, few hours, almost every day.
Are there days that you drag over fish and won't catch them, and suspend over and catch them?
Yeah. We'll suspend sometime. It seems like suspending works good when it's hot, I guess, because the thermal climb or whatever. Trey got a 69-pound. We were had 1 rod suspended, and we got that fish off that suspended. So I'll usually suspend a few. Our heat index in South Carolina is like 110, 120 some days. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Living by the coast. But yeah, we'll suspend a few. Seems like it works really good in the summer. I've tried it in the winter and stuff like that, but it seemed like they just stuck down to the bottom, that time of year.
Get into the YouTube a little bit. What cameras are you using to record everything now?
GoPro 8s. When I bought them, that was the newest ones out. A buddy of mine showed me the 9s, and they're neat. They got a camera, the screen on the front and everything. But I use the 8s, and I record everything 1080p 60 frames. At 60 frames, seems like it looks really good, but it's not so much data. It'll take a long time to upload. It's 4K. I would rather see 1080p 60 frames. I think looks better than 4K 30 frames per second. It just looks smoother to me anyway. It's not so much data. I think my camera has a 256 gig, and I've got one camera that's recording all the time. That I use a power pack, which is running my phone right now, and I kind of got that idea from Kevin. I fished with this like 3 times, and it's still 84% charge. It's 4,000 milliamps or something. So that one would run continuously a camera. It'd be my takedown camera. And then I usually use a chest camera, and I just got a camera set to where when you hit record, it just turns on, and that gets like a close up and, like kind of like a first person view, reeling it in. And if I do, if I talk to the camera or anything, it'd be on that. And it just seems like it's easier to find the clips. And then I get home, I'll, kind of sort through and move those clips to an external hard drive, and upload it. I use WeVid. I think Hagen uses that too. You got to pay for that software. It's not that much, and the reason I like it is because you can add a lot of layers. Because some of the intros I do, because you edit, Mike, you'll have your audio layer and you'll have your video layer. Everything's in layers. Some of these intros I do would be 15 layers. It's just stuff stacked with logos coming across the screen and all kind of stuff. So that one you can do, I think, pretty much unlimited layers. And you can do different things with it. It has like a Chrome key to where you can do green screen effects and stuff like that. I know that all sounds kind of stupid on a catfish video, but like I said, I'd like to make it a little different.
Your intros grab the attention, and that's what works. So
yeah, I like editing. I think it's fun. I'll catch a good fish, and then I'm like, what can I do different? And I get excited to go home and edit it, just to make something different. I think if you got the editing and good content, it works. But if it's just a bunch of fancy editing and there's no substance, I don't think it would work.
Right, definitely. Betty came in the house. We got a river rat came in the house. Appreciate you guys coming in. Jake, you got anything?
Not a whole lot, man. We're just kind of hanging out here at the house, but got a lot of good information.
I like to ask of you. Go ahead.
I see Kevin said in the comments that he can run a phone for 2 days with that power pack. Yeah, because he did a 24-hour challenge with the power pack, and he said he used to have plenty of power. Yeah, so those power packs are great for the GoPros.
Do you ever run your GoPros on loop?
I tried that one time. I tried it, and I caught like a 30-pound fish, and then I went back to find the footage, and I was like, what happened? So I don't know what I screwed up. So because everybody, I think it records, and then after you get that clip, you stop it and restart it or something, and then it's supposed to catch it. I couldn't get it to work right, and I mean, I would be really sad if I caught like a 80 and I didn't have that footage. It would kill me. So I just let it go. I just let it run.
I let mine run. I don't like to loop. I'm afraid of that same thing.
Yeah, because I know
that would be awful.
My thumbnails all pretty much come from the video footage. I'll find a frame or a clip. I got there by yourself. It's kind of hard to hold a camera or put it in a stand or something. And me and Stacy was out there one day, and I always kind of done that. Took the thumbnails from the video clips, and I think she caught like a 55 or something like that. And for some reason, the camera that we were using and it wasn't even on loop, but my chest camera that we used to get all the close up, I hit stop for some reason and didn't notice it, and I didn't get that clip to where I was holding the fish. So in the thumbnail, the fish is just laying in the bottom of the boat. And that video usually a video with a good fish like that, I mean, it would just go. And that thumbnail, it killed that video. It really did. The thumbnail is really important. It is. But I think we're doing pretty good, though. It kind of started out to where I could get, 200 or 300 views on the video. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I can't believe 200 guys want to see this ugly face. And then it got to where I could hit 500 in a week, and then I could hit 500 in a day. And now it's like pretty much almost every single video I can hit about 1,000 in 24 hours. And I'm on top of the world because of that.
That's pretty awesome.
I think it's cool, for some guy who's out there fishing with chicken. So I say to everybody, whatever technique you're doing, just keep, if it works for you, do it. I mean, B&M sponsoring me, and I'm using chicken. So and catfish is cool. If it works for you, do it. Like I was saying before, it just burned me up. But I'm a mellow guy. I keep it to myself. But don't do this, and this is wrong, and that's wrong. Why? Why is it wrong? I'd never say, Mike, why would you do that? I'm the drift fish chicken guy. I know better. Nope.
Right.
Do your thing.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
If it works for you.
If you could fish with anybody, who would you want to fish with?
You.
You're gonna make me blush, buddy.
No, seriously. I'd say, and this is gonna sound really sappy, but it'd be my father-in-law. He passed away, and we fished. We used to brim fish and stuff before, but we never got on these catfish like this. And if I could fish with him and put him in all this, it'd be the world to me. But if it was like somebody in the catfish community, it'd probably be Dieter. I like Dieter. Dieter is a cool dude. You can message him on Facebook. He'll answer your questions. He's down to earth. And a lot of my techniques, video recording techniques, they come from watching him. And I think some of my personality come from watching Hagen. Super nice, super relatable. And those are the guys kind of I look up to, and I try to emulate what they're doing because it's working for them. But Dieter said he's coming down here. He said he's going to fish with me, so let's see if he holds up to it. But it'd be cool to do it.
You guys, you're not really that far apart, are you?
He's in North Carolina. Yeah, he's probably 3 hours away. He was going to come in the spring and fish with me, but he does a lot of video photography work or something, and he had no business, I think, during the pandemic, but he told me his business has really exploded. I think he does some NASCAR races and stuff like that. So he said it's a good thing he's got work now, so maybe eventually.
Check in chat for any questions. Jake, you got anything? Say anything?
No, you guys just crack me up with that chicken. I love that it works, and I'd have to come fish with you to be a believer, but I see you guys using it, and I see you catching fish time after time, and I still can't put a piece of chicken on my hook.
It's a stigma. Yep, it's a stigma thing, and it's a lot of guys are traditional. I ain't got nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I love it.
I got no problem with it. Yep, and I did a video. I did like a double hook rig. I put a hook, and I put cut bait, and I put chicken, and then on the next one I put chicken, I put cut bait. And I caught like a 50 on the chicken. I caught a striper on the cut bait. I don't know. Now, if the day it stopped, that would be the day I'd do something different.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, Thomas, today was one of those days, brother. We marked fish left and right, but we couldn't get them to bite either, so you wasn't the only one. Jake, we got a question for you in the chat, looks like.
Uh-oh.
Thomas always likes to try to get under my...
That's right. Hey, if we're catching fish, it doesn't matter. It's a boat effort there, especially in a tournament. It doesn't matter who catches them, as long as they're in the boat.
And for anybody who don't know, Jake is my tournament partner. He's the one that caught the 92 that day we was out there bumping. So
that's awesome.
Finally, everybody gets to meet Jake. We've been trying to get him on here for a while, but he couldn't figure out the stream yards. But we got him on there tonight.
Yeah. I commend y'all for doing the tournaments, because those guys that come to Santee do tournaments, and they'll fish this lake once a year, twice a year, and they'll burn it up. They'll kill it. They'll catch these fish. And I'm like, I fished yesterday and catch nothing. So I commend y'all for doing that, because it takes a lot of effort to do it.
Some days it's rough. Today was tough on us.
It was rough.
Muskrat Adventures, appreciate you coming in. You think you'll ever get into doing a tournament?
The last tournament they had, the Monster Cat Quest, like 5 guys said, "Hey, you can fish on my boat, because I know if I got you on the boat, we'll win." I'm like, man, don't let YouTube fool you, because sometimes a fish was 3 trips to get it. Nah, I don't think. My work schedule, most of these tournaments are Friday afternoon or Friday or Saturday, and I'm a small business owner, so it's hard for me to get, that's just a work day for me. It's hard for me to get a day off. I haven't taken a vacation in 7 years, but
wow.
I get to get out here and fish. That's my time off, so. But the schedule just like maybe retirement, if that ever happens. Maybe I'll do some tournament fishing. I would like to.
Miss Becca, thanks for coming in. One question I like to ask everybody, what your favorite memory is in fishing?
I would say when me and Trey caught the 240s, same back to back, spending the time with him and doing it. And the first big fish we ever caught kind of put me on this path, and I recorded it with my phone and thought it was cool, and just kept going. So it had to be that, catching those 2 fish, back to back like that.
Well, I'm glad you're here now, Chad. Fishing with Mike Chavez. Appreciate you coming in.
Mike Chavez. I just sent him some drift sinkers.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, I think so. Yeah, pretty sure.
You want to do any sponsor shout outs?
Sure. B&M for taking me on. Monster Rod Holders. He gave me an affiliate link. I don't think nobody's used it yet, but it's cool. He thought about me. Catfish, and Catfish is a great, they sponsor the same guys I sponsor, the guys in the kayaks and cats. And these guys are real fishermen. I mean, they're out there and they do tournaments. The owner of Catfish don't like to be in the spotlight, but they're hardcore fishermen, so they're a great team. And Black's Fish Camp, he said, hey, he said, I can't do much, but I can give you a free boat launch and a hat. I said, hey, that's awesome. So and Kevin, he's a super nice guy. If you ever go to Black's Fish Camp and you just want to talk to somebody about where to go, where to start, he used to be a guy out there. He's a good guy to talk to. He can point you in the right direction. And he does laugh at me about using the heavy line because he's old school. He uses 1/4 ounce. I'm like, how long does it take that to sink? He uses 1/4 ounce and he uses like 10-pound tests to catch like 50-pound catfish. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
No. Wow.
Yeah. He said, you can catch anything on this lake with 10-pound tests. I don't know what y'all guys are doing. I said, man, I need that thing to sink a little quicker.
I just be afraid that just run across something and snap. I mean, the first fish you get on.
Yeah.
We got Chunky in the house. What's up, Mr. Chunky? How you doing?
Chunky Cats.
Make sure we didn't miss any questions here in chat. Can't see any.
Chunky's laugh kills me.
Oh man, he is great, isn't he?
That laugh. Boy, he's having so much fun. That was some good fishing watching him and Kevin.
Yes.
Doing that live stream.
Well, I'm gonna sit here and wait a few seconds.
Next time we team up, we could get Chunky though.
Well, I guess nobody's really going to ask anything. We're at our hour, but I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. You guys hang out for a few more minutes. But I appreciate everybody coming in tonight. Keep watching. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.